Broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California. Your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
It's hard to believe, but it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's kind of a wet and cold Friday, but we're grateful here in California to have some rain. I woke up to snow this morning. Actually had to go out and shovel snow in early May. I guess that's not all that unusual, but winter seems to have come a little bit late here for us in the Golden State. But nevertheless, we will take the water. We will. I don't know, Bethany. Does that count as drought relief? I mean, does Jerry Brown get credit for this?
For nature? I'm not quite sure we can give him that much credit.
I just love the common sense of the people. You heard it here. Yeah, it rained and it snowed, and of course he hasn't built enough dams to actually collect water, even though I live in a place where there are multiple lakes. Most of them are man-made, meaning they're dammed up at some point for the express purpose of collecting water and controlling water, because, you know, you control the water, you control the natural resources, you control the people. It's that simple. And evidently it isn't working out too well for Jerry Brown on the compliance front. You know, a surprise, people don't want to be blamed, first of all, for something they haven't done. And, you know, anybody who has had a 5 or 6 year old kid, or a couple of them, so that there's siblings and they fight, and I don't believe Jerry Brown has. I don't believe he's had any children. They would know this instinctively. But first of all, people don't like to be blamed for something they didn't do. Doesn't matter whether they're Californians or just Americans in general or just human beings. And there's no difference whether you're 70 or you're 7. And so you got Jerry Brown blaming you for the drought, which you clearly know is not 100% his fault. It's like 80%. 20% of it is that it just didn't rain. But the other part is that he knew this. This is a man who was governor in the state of California when we had a drought before. And did he do anything to alleviate it? No. As a matter of fact, he stopped the production or the project. He stopped the building of the dams and the statewide water project that his father had started. His father had championed, his father being Pat Brown. And so he was no stranger to the issue, but he had a very specific viewpoint on it, which is he wants to control people's behavior using government. And he believes that rather than build the infrastructure that's necessary for California, he believes, which we have almost 40 million people here. There's like 38 plus million people in a state where the infrastructure is sufficient for 20 million. So he wants to fast track these tunnels. Now, mind you, if you've got a project and you're a builder or a developer or a business owner and you want to build a business so that California could steal money from you while you operate your business and actually, well, let me restate that. So California could make money off you and you could create jobs, which they would then be able to take money from other people. he has no interest in fast-tracking ordinary businesses. He wants to let the enviro-Nazis, the enviro-fascists, the enviro-tyrants, whatever you want to call them. My friend up in the Bay Area, Brian Sussman, calls them eco-tyrants. He has no problem with them shutting down your project. But when they want to shut down his project, which is these twin tunnels he wants to drill under the Delta. I don't know how you build a waterway under a waterway or put a tunnel under a waterway. But Jerry Brown thinks he's magical and that he can do it. And he had some interesting words for the environmentalists who oppose him. Now, let me set this up. Moonbeam Jerry Brown has been one of them. I mean, if you've ever seen that, have you ever seen that episode with Seinfeld where the president of NBC is out there in a Greenpeace boat? Have you seen that?
Yes, I love Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh my gosh! Well, that was on last night. I watch it every night. I watch like 2 episodes a night to fall asleep because I don't want to hear the news. There's a point I just want to turn it off. So, Jerry Brown belongs out there in that Greenpeace boat. Right? These are his people. These are his buddies. I mean, they don't take a shower for what? I mean, they're used to not taking a shower for 6 months, whereas most Californians wouldn't even dare go without a shower for a day, let alone 6 days. And they oppose his project. The environmentalists that he has always championed, these crazy group of people that don't want anything built, they don't want any human beings here. They have no problem with massive, unchecked, illegal immigration. That's not a problem. They don't make any connection to the destruction of the environment along the border, to the massive overuse of resources. None of that bothers them in the least. But they don't like his tunnels. They don't like Jerry Brown's tunnels. And so Jerry Brown's doing a news conference, and he says, "Shut up. You don't know what the hell you're talking about." That's the governor of the state of California to his biggest supporters, and that ought to be music to your ears, because if the enviro-fascists are fighting amongst themselves, and if they challenge Jerry Brown, their leader, or they challenge his leadership, I guess. But whatever they do, if they're fighting, then it's likely they can't do as much damage to California's economy as they ordinarily do. So I'm excited to see some dissension within the ranks of the far, far left. And I also have to laugh. Coming up after this break, we're going to have Breitbart columnist Adele Nazarian on. She actually had the occasion to interview former speaker, former mayor of Oakland, Willie Brown, who thinks Jerry Brown's the best candidate for governor. Now, I don't know if Willie Brown is saying that tongue-in-cheek, because he's a pretty smart guy, and he often comes out of left field, and you never see it coming until it's too late. But I'm wondering if maybe he just wants to get Jerry Brown out of California so that maybe Willie Brown can make a comeback. I don't know. We'll talk to Adele after the break. But if you're just tuning in, make sure that you plug this number into your phone, because you're going to need it. 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255. You are listening to the Tim Donnelly Show, broadcast live out of the Radio Free California Network studios. More coming up after the break.
choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you find yourself in my hometown of Twin Peaks, don't leave without stopping by the grill at the Antlers Inn. It's right in the heart of Twin Peaks. They serve dinner every night. They're right there at Highway 189 and Bear Springs Road. They have the best steaks, the best sushi. No matter what you have, make sure you call ahead for a reservation. 909-336-2600. 909-336-2600. And tell them Tim Donnelly sent you. It's hard to believe it's Friday. I mean, and the week just flew by. I guess that's what happens when you're having fun. And we always have fun on the Tim Donnelly Show when we talk to the guest that I'm going to introduce next. But before I introduce her, I want to make sure that you get this number, 323-746-TALK, 323-746-8255. Plug that into your phone. That way, if something excites you or ticks you off, you just push one button, Tim Donnelly Show. We also have a great website, timdonnellyshow.com, and we have a great Facebook and Twitter, and you can communicate with any of those, but all of it, the way to connect with us is at timdonnellyshow.com. And I was just perusing articles. I always go to Breitbart because I have a lot of friends who write there. And one article just blew me away. The headline was that former Speaker Willie Brown thinks that California's governor, Moonbeam Jerry Brown,
just can't kill the beast,
is not, would make the best pick for the Democrats for president. And he said this while talking to Adele Nazarian of Breitbart News. Adele, welcome back to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Hi, Tim. Thank you. Great to be on. And yes, he certainly did.
I mean, that's shocking. What did he say? Why he thought that Jerry Brown? I mean, look at his record in California.
Well, I mean, Jerry Brown he definitely is the longest serving governor of California, and I for having lost my voice a little bit. But what he did say was that although Jerry Brown would be the ideal and the preferred and the best potential Democratic nominee for president, he likely will not run, only because Governor Brown is aware that Hillary Clinton will be the person with the support for the ticket. And he predicted that Willie Brown predicted that Hillary Clinton will be the only person who can really cinch the Democratic ticket for another presidential win for the Democratic Party.
Wow. I mean, given the revelations of recent times and given Hillary's complete incompetence in press conferences and in front of the media, Hillary Clinton, I know Hillary Clinton, and she is no Bill Clinton. That's all I can say.
I agree. I agree with you. They're very different. And many people maybe came into this thinking that, it's going to be Hillary. No, she's very different than Bill. She's in some cases even more to the left than Obama in some ways. But I love how your voice drops out when you say Obama. It's okay. Maybe we could have Bethany come up with something funny, some kind of sound bite or sound effect when we have to say his name. Glass shattering, yeah, love it. So, how in the world did you get this interview? Because Willie Brown is not necessarily an easy man to pin down. He's definitely not. You're right, and I have my ways also of getting to people when I want to, but I guess he was maybe a little bit open to speaking with Breitbart that he's never spoken to before. So as much as we may disagree on many things,
it was still nice to be able to sit down with someone who is from the opposite perspective and have a civil conversation where we could bounce ideas off of each other and create an open forum for which to see each other's perspective.
Sure.
Basically.
Well, Willie Brown is not your typical Democrat. He's not your typical anything. First of all, I got to ask, how was he dressed?
Oh, he was, I was so impressed. I love fashion. I definitely enjoy the finer things in life. And he was just so well dressed. And I actually asked him where he got his jacket from, and it was one of the top designers, Catone. So apparently he has a reputation for being the best dressed politician out there.
He does. He lives up to that. I'm glad to know that. But he also is a thinker, because one of the things that struck me when I first got into politics back in 2010 is he had written an open letter to the leadership of the Democrat Party in California, and he warned them that their dependence on the public sector union money could be their downfall, and would certainly be the downfall of the state of California. And we're watching it play out. But I mean, for him to break with such a strong ally of the Democrat Party really showed vision, that he was willing to go out on a limb. The man is always surprising me.
If I may say, you're absolutely correct in commending him for being honest and transparent, unlike his Democratic counterparts, which we've seen, specifically Clinton, as of late. And regarding the union issue and the outsourcing of jobs and whatnot, I actually did cover the whole issue with Southern California Edison and the H-1B visas thing, where they're supplanting American workers with these foreign H-1B visa workers. And that's a cross-cutting political issue. And it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, it's really a big issue for the working class.
Yeah, and speaking of that, when you mentioned Hillary, Hillary coming out and flat out saying, I will out Obama on illegal immigration. I am going to out pander the most pandering politician in the world. I think that's going to hurt her.
I think there are many things that will hurt her, and that definitely is one of them. Also, in the long term, and she has been avoiding media interviews.
That's funny.
Massively. Her, I guess the Republican side, we have the other female person who's the most likely, let's say, female with potential, Carly Fiorina, who's already answered about, I think, 57 questions with the media, and Hillary's had maybe 7 or 8 answered. But she definitely has a lot to be worried about. And on the same side of that coin, though, I must say, you have to kind of see what is the best choice for, let's say, the Republicans to cinch the presidential, ticket in 2016. Who do we really want to see on the opposite side, taking on, let's say, Jeb Bush, Scott Walker, Fiorina, Rick Perry, whoever the potential nominee may be. We could do a whole hour on that, but unfortunately we are out of time, Adele. Go get your voice taken care of. Have a great weekend, and thanks for coming on the Tim Donnelly Show. Thank you.
Hey, we got a lot more coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial.
The High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Don't you think it's about time you treat yourself or someone you love to something very special? Well, Ozell Jewelers, the finest jewelry store in the High Desert, is known throughout the High Desert for having the largest variety of fine-looking jewelry and gifts for every special occasion. Ozell custom designs and manufactures their own jewelry, so you'll be able to find exclusive, one-of-a-kind, stunning styles you won't find anywhere else in Southern California. If you're looking for fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, Ozell Jewelers is the place to go. Show appreciation to that special person in your life with something special to cherish forever. Ozell Jewelers, voted best jewelers in the high desert by the Daily Press regularly for years. Ozell Jewelers has been putting smiles on high desert faces for over 30 years. Ozell Jewelers in Rancho Cucamonga, Palm Desert, and Amargosa Road by Red Lobster in Victorville. Ozell Jewelers.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Perfect music for a day that feels as cold as ice. I drove down the mountain on which I live with the bed of my truck full of snow. And the only bad news is just before that, spring was making a comeback, or an entrance, a grand entrance with the pollen. We had pollen everywhere. And pollen, by the way, is naturally yellow. So when the snow falls on it and then you shovel it, it looked like I filled the back of my truck with yellow snow. But anyway, it certainly is welcome to have a break in the nonstop perfect weather we seem to have in Southern California, at least. But we need the rain. We need the water. And snow just simply slows down the rate at which the water runs off. So that's good, because then hopefully we can collect as much of it as possible. Hey, if you want to get in on the conversation, in the 5 o'clock hour, this is a red alert. If you have an opinion about forced vaccinations, there's a bill right now that is being considered in the legislature. It's pretty much sailing through every place it goes. It's had heavy opposition, but the proponents of the bill, which is more government control, have generally been able to wrestle their opponents to the ground and buy off enough politicians to get it through. It is SB 277, and we will be talking about that in the 5 o'clock hour, and we will be taking your calls, 323-746-TALK, 323-746-8255. But right now we're going to take a call from Michael in Apple Valley. Michael, you've got a question about the desalinization plants in Carlsbad and Huntington Beach.
I did some research a few months ago, and I found out that there were some plants under construction months and years ago. One was in the San Rafael area, and it was reported through the San Jose Mercury News back in May 29, 2014. And then there was one in the Carlsbad area that was under construction. And these projects are supposed to produce anywhere from 20 to 50 million gallons of water a day by desalinating ocean water.
Right.
And there was one under construction in San Rafael. Excuse me. What is it?
Right. Here's the scoop on that. The Carlsbad one is just about to go online, but the problem is what the problem always is, which is money. It costs like $1 billion to build the plant, and it's going to. I believe we had Victor Davis Hansen on, who is a senior fellow, traveling professor, and all-around expert in pretty much everything California. His assessment was very crystal clear. He said if Jerry Brown had done his job and completed the statewide water project, and we'd actually built enough collection centers with dams at places where they made sense, and there's 2 dams that were supposed to be built in 1949 that we just stole $14.5 billion from the taxpayers over the next few years. $7.5 billion is what they're borrowing it, and then $7.5 billion in interest. So $14 billion to complete two dams that are going to cost less than $3 billion to complete.
Yeah.
And if we had finished those, then we would have that water, which is eminently cheaper, dramatically cheaper than the water that can be produced by desalting the ocean. The desalting or desalinization price is somewhere around $3,000 per 1,000 acre feet, whereas it's $300 when you just simply store it in a dam. So is dramatic, massive difference. And of course, people are very sensitive to these kinds of this kind of inflation. And this is a government created inflation. I call it the drought tax. We need some kind of sound effect for that. The drought tax. Because instead of Jerry having vision, instead of him doing what he should have done, we are all paying for it. And then he tells everybody, hey, if you don't do what I say now, if you don't cut your water use 25% in the cities, then we're going to fine you $500 a day. Well, that didn't scare anybody. So now he said we're going to fine you up to $10,000 a day. So far, the water usage has gone down like some 3.6%. That's it. Yeah. Because people already conserved, and they're tired of being blamed for something they didn't do.
I understand.
So, hey, Michael, thank you for your call, and thank you for listening to the Tim Donnelly Show.
You're welcome.
Hey, if you want to get in on the conversation, 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255. But I just can't get away from Willie Brown, who is such a savvy character. And Adele, with her voice going out, didn't really have sufficient time to go into the detail that we might have. But one of the things she had told me off air was that Willie Brown sees Hillary as the fulcrum, the key, I guess if they were in prison, which maybe they should be, Bethany's laughing in there. I can't help it. She would be a shot caller. And it's funny because you got to go back into the unwinding of the previous presidential election where Hillary, back in 2008, where she wanted to be president of the United States. And, the Clinton machine was at its finest. It was at its peak. Bill had tremendous power, and Hillary was cued right in. But Barack Obama muscled his way past her. And there's no love lost between them. But Hillary is certainly flipping the bird to the media. And I think she is doing something very intentional, and it's actually, it's either going to be extremely clever and work out well for her, or it's going to backfire. And if it backfires, it's really going to depend on the American people and how much they're paying attention. I don't think they're paying much attention right now. Bethany, when you go to the gym, are people talking about the presidential election?
Somewhat, but it's not really the focus at the gym.
So the answer is no.
No, they're not.
Okay. Well, they're not paying attention. Most people, when I ran for governor, there were people that definitely should have known there was an election that didn't even know it had happened. And it was 3 weeks after the election. And I was like, wow. So she is just shutting down all press right now. Now, the reason the strategy is brilliant is because she's just saying, hey, I don't have to answer. I am Hillary Clinton, and I do not have to answer to anyone. And it's so much better when she's just silent than it is if she were to say that out loud.
Well, I feel like she has two tactics: either to be silent, or she's charging $800,000.
Hey, are you reading my talking points here? $800,000 for 15 minutes in Hollywood.
15 minutes.
Wow, she is one high-priced.
Beep.
Yeah, good Lord. Well, it's right. Well, press is not invited to a fundraiser. First of all, you do not invite the press when you're raising money. Mitt Romney learned that when somebody with a video camera or probably just an iPhone caught him making his infamous 47% comment. And that gave the media what they needed to take him down. See, they don't want to take Hillary down. They really don't. They want to get all of her bad news out while nobody's paying attention. That's why I asked you if anybody's talking about it at the gym. No, they're not. Now, they might talk about the new entrants into the race, and we're definitely going to be doing a lot more on the 2016 Republican side, but I personally do not believe that Hillary can win the presidency of the United States. That is my theory. And, hey, if you don't agree with me, feel free to call in and debate me, but you better bring your A game. 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255. And we will talk about that after the break. And don't forget, SB 277 coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Go to TimDonnellyShow.com if you want to tweet us or Facebook us a question. We love hearing from you.
The High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked, and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. It is a cold and blustery Friday across California, but we are grateful for that white stuff that... No, not that white stuff. That white stuff that fell out of the sky. Come on, you guys in the booth in there. I swear. Before the break, we were talking a little bit, kind of dipping our toe in the pool of the 2016 election, and I have to admit, I have never seen so many people who think they should be president. You've got Rick Santorum right now. He's courting the idea. Look, let me tell you something. When you've been in political office and you're out and you're thinking about running for a seat, if you're thinking about running for something like senator, governor, or president, the media will hound you until you say you are not running. If you are a credible potential candidate, let's just put it that way. And there's all kinds of definitions you could fit in that. But I read today that Lindsey Amnesty Graham from South Carolina
hasn't ruled out running for president. And I read that in an article on the secret trade deal, that so far, apparently, only 2 senators have read, and that's Jeff Sessions and Mike Lee. So that's a bit shocking, given that they're going to have to vote on this, and a number, almost all of the presidential candidates, almost all, have come out against it. I believe Rubio is in favor of it, which, once again, if you don't, the devil is always in the details. And as I told you, Dick Morris has said, I don't have any way to confirm this, but Dick Morris has said that there is a clause in there that allows for unlimited immigration. That means remove all controls. Like the last thing we need on the face of the earth, in California anyway, or in the United States in general, but in California in particular, given that we don't have enough water for the people we have, we don't have the infrastructure in place for the people we have, we certainly don't want to invite millions more to come here either illegally, which, hey, our government, the ruling party, that's Moonbeam Brown's party.
Just can't kill the beast.
Are you going to play that every time I mention Moonbeam Jerry Brown?
Just can't kill the beast.
Wow, I think it's an automatic response by the computers are even infected here with a poor opinion of our governor, who, when he was running, I mean, you even had Republicans out there saying, hey, if Tim Donnelly's the candidate, we're going to back Jerry Brown.
Just can't kill the beast.
And it's hard to fathom how or why anyone would think that this guy has what it takes to be president. Now, I could see at least Jerry Brown has run a major state. He may have run it into the ground, but Gramnesty, I'm sorry, buddy. Santorum, he always brings an interesting conversation, but I'm afraid that Mike Huckabee beat him to the punch, and you have your Christian conservative candidate, and Huckabee's probably more likable or comes across that way, because I've met Rick Santorum, and he's a wonderful human being. But there's just something that it takes to get through the cameras and communicate your personality. And Huckabee's been doing it with the television show, which he just resigned that in order to run. So the field is getting deeper and deeper. The pool is getting deeper and deeper on the Republican side. Love to get your thoughts on it. 323-746-TALK. 323-746-8255. Tim Donnelly Show. More coming up after the break.
The High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
If you've been listening long to the Tim Donnelly Show, you know that we talk constantly about defending freedom and about defending our natural and inalienable rights. The Firearms Policy Coalition is a partner of the Tim Donnelly Show. But more than that, they're on the front lines every day in Sacramento and all across the state, in the courts, defending your Second Amendment right. That is a natural right that the government merely acknowledged in the Second Amendment. If you value your freedom, then you need to join Firearms Policy Coalition. Become a member. I'm a member, and I'm happy to support an organization that is doing such an incredible job. Go to joinfpc.org. The Tim Donnelly Show sent you. or go to timdonnellyshow.com and click on the FPC link to make it easy. But whatever you do, join today. FPC.org.
And now, broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California, your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
Hey, welcome back to Hour 2 of the Tim Donnelly Show on the Radio Free California Network. And it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. But you know what? It feels really weird. I mean, does it feel to you like it was just Friday?
I felt like we were just here last week, same time.
Okay, well that's kind of obvious, but it feels like it was like 2 days ago that we were ending a week, and it's exciting. Every week we make it through. Every week you make it through with your above ground and still swinging. It's good. It's good. So, we're having a discussion right now. We've been talking about the 2016 election, which is getting curiouser and curiouser. My favorite line out of, I believe it was a headline somewhere or a tweet, was that Hillary Clinton, who raised $800,000 from the Hollywood elite, that's studio execs, that's actors that make a fortune, and the like. 15-minute speech, $800,000. She raked in $3 million in a day and a half. But she said, or somebody said about her, Hillary is going to save us from the 1%. She's going to save the middle class from the 1%. By being owned by the 1%, by taking all those contributions from the 1%. And, of course, we all know how that story ends. Hey, we've got a call from David in Norco who wants to join the conversation. David, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
It's great to talk to you finally. We're actually Facebook friends, but I haven't seen a Facebook post from you in a long time. So, you probably will recognize me a little bit as we go on. But we're going to make this a very exciting part of your show today. Okay? It's Friday. I'm on the freeway, so if you hear
I hope you're using a hands-free device. And
using a Bluetooth. That's correct.
And complying with all of the laws of the state, so that you do not get pulled over live on air. That would not be any fun for you.
Well, you know what? If I do get pulled over, I have no problem invoking my UCC right. And reserving my UCC rights under Section 1, subsection 308 of the Uniform Commercial Code, which is what we truly are ruled by,
sure,
because that's statutory law.
Yeah. So, David, what is your question for me?
I wanted to ask you, being a former politician here in the state, I wanted to ask your opinion, your thoughts, and your ideas about a few things, because I really don't know what goes through the mind of a politician.
Well, you're talking to someone whose tagline was "Patriot, not politician," for that exact reason. I don't know what goes through the minds of a politician either, because what I did is I went and I served for 2 terms, and then I left. I tried to run for governor because I thought that would be a way that I could affect the greatest amount of change in the shortest period of time. And clearly, if I had become the governor, I would be taking this state in a very different direction. I can tell you that right now. We would be fast-tracking those dams, and we would not be completing the high-speed rail.
Well, good for you. You're a smart man in that sense. What I wanted to ask you specifically, though, is did the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution end slavery?
Well, I'm a little bit lost as to what that has to do with our discussion, because that's really, really far afield.
Well, the reason why I ask is...
I mean, you have the Emancipation Proclamation that was actually issued during wartime that
Right.
everybody assumed everybody assumed that ended slavery because the Union won the war. But, I mean, unless you're going to tie that into slavery in California, which is alive and well...
Oh, I will. I will. Trust me, I will. So... did the 13th Amendment end slavery?
That has nothing to do with the discussion of what we're talking about today. So, do you have something to say about California politics?
Yeah, yes, I do. But I need you to answer that question first. Are you not going to answer the question?
David, you said that you were coming on air to debate on general politics in California, and last time I checked, that slavery has nothing to do with California, so we're going to have to let you go there, David. But I hope that you have a safe drive, and I hope that didn't tax you too much while you're careening up the freeway. We have a simple rule on this show: if you say you're going to talk about one thing, and you come on here and say and ask something completely different, you got to hit the highway. So I'm like Bethany's perplexed in there. You wrote debate on general politics. Is that not true? Are you there?
Yeah, that's what he said he wanted to talk about. General politics and there's a couple other things, but nothing about that.
Yeah, well, there was nothing about slavery. And look, now, I will get to something about 13, though, and that is Proposition 13, which is actually relevant to California politics. And if you don't know what Prop 13 is, Proposition 13 is one of the reasons that property taxes have not skyrocketed in California. They're one of the few taxes that have been retarded by the government rather than allowed to rise geometrically. And that actually goes back to 1978. And it was funny because when it first came out, Jerry Brown was opposed to Prop 13. And he called it a ripoff, a legal morass, and a long-term tax increase. And, it's funny. He opposed it, and then he immediately embraced it when he saw how popular it was with the people. But the bottom line is keeping property taxes low has helped people buy a home. It has helped people who are renters. Because if you're a renter and property taxes go through the roof, who do you think they're going to pass it on to? It ain't rocket science. But the Marxist progressives' parading as Democrats in Sacramento are absolutely, utterly, 100% committed to raising your taxes. And they've got a whole new scheme that they think they're going to be able to get through called a split roll. And I'll go into more detail about this later. And we're also going to talk next week with Rex Heim of the California Business Property Association, who is an expert on the ultimate implications. But you're going to want to stay tuned, because this is one of those things where we are going to take action. We're going to engage. We're going to do something about it, because it will affect your bottom line. It will affect your job. It will affect your business if you own a business. And none of it is good if these guys are able to railroad this through. And by the way, because voter turnout was so low in the last election in 2014, the margin for signatures is the lowest it's been in recent history. It takes hardly any signatures at all to qualify something for the ballot. So we are going to see a tsunami of ballot initiatives. Hey, we'll talk more about that. We'll take your calls, 323-746-TALK. We'll take your calls if you actually want to talk about what you said you were going to talk about. 323-746-8255. You can't get past Bethany.
High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Don't you think it's about time you treat yourself or someone you love to something very special? Well, Ozell Jewelers, the finest jewelry store in the high desert, is known throughout the high desert for having the largest variety of fine-looking jewelry and gifts for every special occasion. Ozell custom designs and manufactures their own jewelry, so you'll be able to find exclusive, one-of-a-kind, stunning styles you won't find anywhere else in Southern California. If you're looking for fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, Ozell Jewelers is the place to go. Show appreciation to that special person in your life with something special to cherish forever. Ozell Jewelers, voted best jewelers in the high desert by the Daily Press regularly for years. Ozell Jewelers has been putting smiles on high desert faces for over 30 years. Ozell Jewelers in Rancho Cucamonga, Palm Desert, and Amargosa Road by Red Lobster in Victorville. Ozell Jewelers.
323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255. And the crazy man who called in before, I guess, called back using a different number, which indicates his deceptive nature. And then he proceeded to berate Bethany. And, you know, Bethany, you were smiling 5 minutes ago, and he wiped the smile right off your face. That's...
Tim, this goes back to our earlier conversation where I understand, you know, I mean, with this whole free speech thing, I get it. But there's a point where it's disrespectful, and I'm the producer of the show.
Yeah, and by the way, because of that behavior, this individual will never ever be on this air as a result. If you want to be abusive, if you want to call up, we see he's calling back because he's well, that you know what we do with people like that? One nice thing about being in politics is I do have a lot of friends and that are in law enforcement. And if you want to threaten me or threaten the producer of this show, bring it on. But we're not going to take it quietly. And it's not free speech to talk about whatever you want. This is my show. This is the Tim Donnelly Show. And you know what? We choose the topics, and we choose to engage with people who are engaging in good faith. And if you want to play some bizarre, arcane game of gotcha, go someplace where they will tolerate that or where they're desperate for callers. That's not us. But what I will say is back to Prop 13, because I think this is critically important, and this is something you're going to hear us talk a lot about. Bethany, have you ever heard of Prop 13?
I've heard it around town a few times.
Yeah, okay. They're not talking about it at the gym, are they?
No.
Okay. Well, the new concept is to do what's called a split roll. And when you do a split roll tax, you're splitting off commercial from residential. And their hope is they want to stick it to companies. They want to stick it to what they call corporations. And we know here at the Tim Donnelly Show what a corporation is. A corporation is usually a mom and pop operation. There's usually one or two shareholders. There's not, in most corporations are very closely held by a small business. And the whole point of incorporating is to protect you from the sharks, to protect you from the trial lawyers who want to sue anything that moves that makes money. And also from unscrupulous people who have no morals and believe that they have a right to continually fake accidents, and then that results in lawsuits, and so people incorporate. You also have big corporations that at one time were small corporations. I mean, Chevron is one of the examples. Well, I got news for you. You may hate big corporations. You may be one of those young skulls full of mush who believes that oil companies are the worst thing on the planet while you're driving around in your car that runs on gas and oil. But if they get the split roll through, it will affect you. That's the bottom line. You're the one who will be paying more for gas. You're the one who will be paying more for any product and every product. If you go to your favorite restaurant and they do triple net lease, which is how most leases are done. Most businesses don't own the property they're operating in. They've leased it from somebody else. But if there's a triple net lease, that's going to have a dramatic effect on the bottom line of that business and could put your favorite eatery, it could put your favorite small business, little store, mom and pop shop, whatever it is, out of business. And that means people are going to lose jobs. So we are against this assault on Prop 13 because Prop 13 was one of the smartest and best protections for the little guy. Let me see if I can get that out. Hey, 323-746-TALK, 323-746-8255. More coming up on the Tim Donnelly Show, including forced vaccinations at 5 o'clock.
High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee, is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked, and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. It is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It is a gorgeous... It's a gorgeous day outside. Stop it. Are you debating me that it's... Okay, do you think you have the right to debate me over whether or not it's a gorgeous day? Do you want to step into that pool?
It's a wonderfully gorgeous day outside.
I consider rain, snow, clouds. I love clouds. I absolutely love clouds. I think they're just... I have 8,000 pictures in my phone, and it's half of them are probably pictures of scenery, and a lot of those are clouds. Speaking of my phone, you know how we talked about losing weight?
Yes, every day.
Yeah. We've done a lot of talk about it, but not much has happened. But I did tell you that I was going to talk for a minute. I don't know if it'll be a whole segment, but about an app. There's an app for everything now. Have you noticed that? I mean, Apple didn't get to be the biggest, most behemoth company pretty much in the whole world. I think they have like $192 billion in excess cash sitting around in their mattresses or their couches at over there in Cupertino. But one real amazing benefit. Look, if you've ever tried to lose weight, one of the big challenges is because it's simple to know how to do it intellectually. You have to cut down what you take in, and then you have to move more or increase your activity, right? Simple as that. So, because in the end, it's net calories you burn versus calories you consume. And, I'm sure, Bethany, you probably are much more of an expert on this than I am. But my question was always, if you're a busy person, you're running around, how in the world do you count the calories? How do you add it all up? And there's this app that my wife has been using, and she's lost weight, which is harder when you get to the middle of life. I'll just say it like that. I won't say anything about a certain age because I'm rapidly approaching a half century next year. But here's the rub. This app, it's called Lose It. So you get it at the App Store. It literally will enable you to push a button and you can add up your breakfast. First of all, you put in your weight, you put in all your information, but very simple. Male or female, how much you weigh, how much you want to lose. So it's not complicated. It's not like some massive setup where they want your Social Security number and your credit card number and all this. That was my concern because I don't want anybody else tracking my weight. I don't need the NSA tracking my weight. Thank you very much. I certainly don't want Jerry Brown tracking my weight. Let me say that again. I certainly don't want Jerry Brown tracking my weight.
Just can't kill the beast.
Seems like you can't kill the beast. Taming this weight. I just got to a point last night where I got so angry over my own weight, which is my own fault, okay? I'm not going to be one of these people who's going to blame it on somebody else. I'd like to, but it can't be consistent. So I was able to set this thing up, and then immediately you can track your meals. You put in, it just has a bunch of plus signs, and then you start typing in a food item for breakfast, let's say French toast. It asks you how many slices did you have, whether it was homemade. If you put in a double-double, it automatically knows you went to In-N-Out. And I was like, oh, my God, they've been watching me. But no, I guess a lot of other people have but they've loaded every kind of food, every kind of fast food, and made it so easy. And then you'll be shocked when you look at the calories. A double. Let me look that up because it's been a little while since I had one. See if it'll let me go back.
This week.
Whoa. Come on. Hey, no talking out of school in there. I'm just going to have to put it in. I'll just pretend I had that for lunch today. And but you can put in protein style, which is, what I was doing, which, is all lettuce instead of bread. Let's see if that pulls that up. Yeah, here it is. Cheeseburger, double, protein style. Now, one of those is 520 calories. And my allotment, I know you're probably going, oh, we're just dying to know what are your allotment of calories there, Tim Donnelly, is 1,800 in order to lose 10 pounds in a month. And so that's basically like a third of your calories right there. And the good thing about the app is it's kind of like a calculator for your calories. It's easy, and you get instant feedback. It tells you immediately whether you're over or whether you're running over or running under the calorie target on a daily basis. It also allows you to put in exercise. And if you put in exercise, it tells you, I go on walks with my dog, and, I hunt coyotes. And as I'm walking, if I'm out there for half an hour, then it's X number of calories burned, and then it will subtract those. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not excited with the results so far, and that's in part because of a lack of discipline on my part. But, okay, will you stop laughing in there? This is ridiculous.
I can't, Tim. I can't stop laughing.
Wow.
I go to the gym every day. I've invited you to come with me.
Oh, that is not so. Okay. So I am not. Yeah, I haven't seen the inside of a gym in a long time, and I do not intend to. But look, the challenge is the same. I mean, you could go to the gym and burn a whole lot of calories, but if you come in here and eat junk all day, I won't say anything about being addicted to almond M&Ms. I didn't even know they made almond M&Ms.
Oh, yeah, in the medium-sized bag. They're perfect.
But my weakness are rock stars, which I discovered have only 130 calories, but you keep telling me they have all kinds of crazy chemicals and they're going to kill me. I don't know. If you have an opinion on that, 323-746-TALK. Or if you want to say something about a method you have that works or any insights. If you don't want to go on air, that's fine. If you would rather, you can always go to Tim Donnelly Show or just send us a tweet. Go there and click on the Twitter link or the Facebook link, and you can share your best tips. All I know is this is a simple way. It is a way that technology that did not exist. I don't think this existed a year ago. Maybe it did, but I wasn't aware of it. It is extraordinary, the power of this supercomputer inside this tiny phone and the way that it can improve your life. Now, it will not replace your willpower. It will not replace your self-control, and it will not replace your discipline to move your body around. That's the bottom line. The best advice I ever got from anyone on weight loss was a guy that I had noticed had lost probably 30 or 40 pounds, and I asked him what he did, and he said, look, when I need to go a long way, I put more in the tank. And when the car ain't moving, I'm not filling it up. And he was talking about himself, meaning when I'm moving around, when I'm doing a ton of exercise, I eat a lot. When I'm not, I reduce my eating in relation to my movement of my body. And I thought that there's some simple wisdom in that. And I know you probably didn't tune in to the Tim Donnelly Show to get weight loss advice. Certainly, I'm not going to give anybody advice. I will welcome your advice, but it's Friday. And on Fridays, we are free to talk about whatever we want as long as we're honest.
Yeah, don't call me saying you want to talk about weight loss and then bring up the horse races.
Or slavery. I'm sorry, that was just too much. Anyway, we will be talking specifically about an issue that I know a lot of you have a strong opinion about, one way or the other. And by the way, we do not discriminate against you based on your opinion. You can be for or against a topic, for or against an issue, for or against a bill that we're talking about, for or against a candidate, as long as you are clear and straightforward and honest when you talk to the Noskinator on the phones, or whoever answers the phone and screens you. 323-746-TALK, 323-746-8255. We'll take your calls after the break.
High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
If you've been listening long to the Tim Donnelly Show, you know that we talk constantly about defending freedom and about defending our natural and alienable rights. The Firearms Policy Coalition is a partner of the Tim Donnelly Show. But more than that, they're on the front lines every day in Sacramento and all across the state, in the courts, defending your Second Amendment right. That is a natural right that the government merely acknowledged in the Second Amendment. If you value your freedom, then you need to join Firearms Policy Coalition. Become a member. I'm a member, and I'm happy to support an organization that is doing such an incredible job. Go to joinfpc.org. The Tim Donnelly Show sent you. Or go to timdonnellyshow.com and click on the FPC link to make it easy. But whatever you do, join today. FPC.org. Hey, it is, thank God it's Friday. I don't want to call it Freedom Friday. I've heard other people do that. We can't do Open Line Friday. That's been taken. I don't know. I wish I could get some wisdom from someone. Oh, by the way, we had a special guest drop by the studio, and Mr. President, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Hi, I'm Barack Obama.
See, you thought you thought you were going to hear Bill Clinton, but he's busy off in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, I got back from a golf trip.
What, do you live on the golf course?
Sometimes, I gotta practice those putts, and yeah.
Have you ever thought about like running the country? I mean, we got people getting shot up in Texas, and you're off golfing.
Yeah, I like golfing. Sometimes in the wintertime, especially.
Well, what'd you shoot?
I went over par.
Oh, well, I was hoping you were going to say. I was hoping you were going to say that you were shooting at ISIS, but thank God we had a Texas cop who actually knew how to shoot and he doesn't play golf, but he's a pretty damn good shot, and he took out those 2 terrorists while you were on the golf course.
Well, that may be true, but I shot it over par, and I think that's better than shooting.
Are you sure you're Barack Obama? Could you say that again?
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I don't know. Do you believe that, Beth? I mean, what do you think of this?
I mean, I see him. He's right here.
Yeah, but it's still daylight in California. I mean, he would be in Palm Springs golfing. He would not stop by the Tim Donnelly studios. I think you're a Barack Obama impersonator. How can you prove that you are actually President Barack Obama? I think it is. I mean, he doesn't have an answer. His mind is on golf. And, I remember Bush getting beaten up for going to Camp David, and every president, every time they take a vacation. But you take the cake. I think we ought to call you the vacationer in chief, because you're never where you need to be. You're always out somewhere in search of birdies.
That's very true.
Well, I'm a little bit flabbergasted that Barack Obama would stop by the Tim Donnelly show, but we're just going to have to get back to our regularly scheduled program. I don't know if you could get in that helicopter and head back to whatever course you came from, but we got serious work to do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. President Barack Obama, man, a few words, very little wisdom, almost no insight into anything. And but he knew which station to come to, and he chose the Tim Donnelly Show. You know, it is the place where presidents like to stop by. And we don't have much time left in this hour, but look, I want to impress on you, if you have an opinion about forced vaccinations, I'm not even going to ask Barack Obama if he has an opinion, because I just have a feeling we'll get another unintelligible answer. But we're going to have 2 guests on. One's an expert, and one is running a campaign to make people aware of what's really at stake with forced vaccinations. There's a California bill right now before the legislature, SB 277. So you don't want to touch that dial, but you do want to pick up your phone. 323-746-TALK. 323-746-8255 if you want to talk about your kids and their right to an education and freedom. More coming up on the Tim Donnelly Show. Don't touch that dial.
The High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you find yourself in my hometown of Twin Peaks, don't leave without stopping by the grill at the Antlers Inn. It's right in the heart of Twin Peaks. They serve dinner every night. They're right there at Highway 189 and Bear Springs Road. They have the best steaks, the best sushi. No matter what you have, make sure you call ahead for a reservation. 909-336-2600. 909-336-2600. And tell them Tim Donnelly sent you.
And now, broadcasting from deep behind enemy lines in the occupied territory of the Socialist Republic of California, your host, former California State Assemblyman and Governor candidate, Tim Donnelly.
Well, here we are in the final hour on a fine Friday. It is a gorgeous Friday to those of us who love California and want to see her recover from this devastating lack of water, this natural drought that has been turned into a man-made disaster by none other than Jerry Moonbeam Brown, who has, I don't know how in the world we made that guy governor again. You'd have thought we'd have learned the first time and then the second time. And here he is in a record third term and just devastating the state that we love. It looks like we have our guest on the line. We're going to discuss a very controversial issue. There's, I don't know how else to say it, but let me give you a little bit of history. California has been on a vendetta against anyone who opts their children out of vaccinations. Vaccinations have never been mandatory, even though the perception is that they're mandatory. In most people think, hey, if you take your kid to school and you don't get the vaccinations, your kid doesn't get into school. That's what most people have been operating on. But there's a very small number of people who have deep concerns over the effects of vaccinations. There are individuals who have died from vaccinations. This is simply a fact. I've met parents who have lost a child due to the side effects. You hear, anytime you listen on the television or the radio to an advertisement for a medication, there's always the fine print that they now have to read. They tell you all these horrible side effects that don't happen to very many people, but when they happen to you or your loved one, it's devastating. So we've always had a personal exemption, personal belief, religious exemption, etc. And Jerry Brown signed a bill, AB 2109, to close that last year. I met a number of people from all walks of life who were deeply concerned about that. This is not a partisan issue, but this is a very, very emotional issue to a lot of people. So we are bringing on Robert Schechter, who is an expert on vaccinations. He's got a website. It's up at timdonnellyshow.com. You could just click on it. I'm not going to give you all the websites over the air because you can just go there and click. But I want to bring Robert Schechter and then Frank Alonso of the Campaign for Liberty on air here for a discussion, and we will take your calls at 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255. Robert and Frank, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Thank you,
Hello.
Tim. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, so, Robert, I want to start with you.
Okay.
A lot of people believe that if somebody else doesn't vaccinate their child, and most of the people who don't vaccinate their children selectively avoid certain vaccinations, and they might allow others. But talk to us about the fear that people feel, because I've also heard that there's herd immunity, and therefore a certain number of people can be unvaccinated without endangering the lives of everyone.
Well, I think some of these fears are somewhat manufactured. I don't think this bill is coming from a grassroots outcry from parents. I think it's a lot of the vested interests that are kind of seizing on the measles outbreak that we had in Disneyland. I think the main argument that I hear is the unvaccinated are putting others at risk, and that's completely false. when you're unvaccinated, you're just a person. You're not doing anything. That's your natural state. And by not doing anything, you can't put somebody at risk. After all, if the risk was not already present, there would be no reason to vaccinate.
Right. Now let me ask you a question, because one of the issues that I've hit upon relentlessly in this debate is, if you're going to have wide open borders and no controls, meaning you're not processing people through an immigration process where you find out whether or not they've had certain diseases or whether or not they've been given too many antibiotics to where they are carrying a disease that is now multiple drug resistant. Having open borders, having people come into this country who are carrying a disease or could be carrying a disease that we wiped out years and years ago, does that put people at risk?
Well, I think there are risks in the world. Infectious agents have been around since we've started living together in cities. So I don't think someone coming in from a foreign country, for example, the Disneyland epidemic, they believe but are not certain that it was started by someone coming in from the Philippines. So was he creating a risk? I don't think so, because he didn't know he was infected. So he's really not in control. He's not taking an action that puts people at risk. So you would have to say just having international travel is risky. I mean, you could say that.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I think most people are not in favor of cloistering ourselves off and being isolationists. Certainly, we want people to come to our state. We want people to come to our country. We have a very strong tourism business in California, and we don't want to see that come to a screeching halt. We also want immigration to be orderly and controlled, which I do think is important. But to the bill at hand, which is SB 277, which says if you do not vaccinate your children, they cannot come to school. That's the bill that's before us. And
right.
What is your take on this bill? And then, Frank, I want to get you in on the conversation.
All right. Well, I think the basic premise is that it's public school, so that implies by its nature that it belongs to the public, and our children are members of the public. They're United States citizens, so that's something that they have a right to use. Because it belongs to them, they don't have to undergo 18 years of unwanted medical treatments to access what is already theirs. And I think any arguments that are used to undermine that fall flat. It's the put-at-risk argument, which I addressed earlier. They're just people. They're not infected. They're not spreading illnesses just by simply attending school. So I don't see a foundational premise that you can use to exclude these children.
Yeah, Frank, what is your take?
Tim, I'm going to defer to Robert. I brought him on this, and he just has a wealth of knowledge. And you gave us 20 minutes, and I wanted to take as much of that 20 minutes as possible because he's got some good stuff to give to you today. And then later, maybe at the end, we could talk about how we could organize and get some real organization and fight back through our Campaign for Liberty group. Right.
Well, certainly, Robert, your point that that individuals in their natural state are not doing anything harmful to other individuals, and in California, for years we've had something close to 4% of the population. I think it's lower now; it's like hovering below 3%. I think of the population does not completely vaccinate. Let's put it that way. They're not 100% unvaccinated.
It all depends on how you look at the statistic. There's what's called a personal belief exemption, which is what is under attack now. and that's down to 2.5%. You mentioned AB 2109, which was a bill to force parents to hear a doctor lecture about vaccines before getting an exemption. That brought exemptions down about 20%, and since 2000, personal belief exemptions are down 65%.
So it's following a theme with our governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown, who is, he wants to control you. He wants you to comply. He wants you to fall in line and do whatever he wants. Well, I was part of the movement when I was an assemblyman. I joined with individuals like actor Rob Schneider and a whole bunch of ordinary Californians who came together from all across party lines and every income strata, and it was a really diverse coalition of individuals who basically simply wanted that personal belief exemption, and in spite of that bill going through, believed they had secured some sort of an administrative exemption that the governor talked about in his signing letter. He didn't veto the bill. That was what we were pushing for. But ultimately, there is a strong movement in California against this bill. And so let's talk a little bit about what's happened in the hearings and whatnot when we come back from this break. We've got to take a quick break. 323-746-TALK, 323-746-8255 if you have a question or an opinion about forced vaccinations in California.
High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
If you've been listening long to the Tim Donnelly Show, you know that we talk constantly about defending freedom and about defending our natural and alienable rights. The Firearms Policy Coalition is a partner of the Tim Donnelly Show. But more than that, they're on the front lines every day in Sacramento and all across the state, in the courts, defending your Second Amendment right, that is a natural right that the government merely acknowledged in the Second Amendment. If you value your freedom, then you need to join Firearms Policy Coalition. Become a member. I'm a member, and I'm happy to support an organization that is doing such an incredible job. Go to joinfpc.org. The Tim Donnelly Show sent you. Or go to timdonnellyshow.com and click on the FPC link to make it easy. But whatever you do, join today. FPC.org. That is great music for a Friday afternoon, and I think it reflects the feeling of a lot of Californians about this continual deprivation of our liberty. You have Jerry Moonbeam Brown and his cronies in the legislature. Let me say that again. Jerry. Oh, you know what?
We can say it with you, Tim.
Please do. Anyway, so Jerry Brown signed a bill last year, AB 2109, that really made it difficult for people to exercise their personal belief exemption. They had to go make an appointment with the doctor, have the doctor read them a bunch of information, and then if they still didn't comply or they weren't scared into compliance, then the doctor would finally sign the order allowing them to be exempt. And now we've got a whole nother bill that is just going full bore. Either vaccinate your kids or they cannot go to public school. And that's the bill that we're facing right now. And there was a huge number of parents and individuals who showed up to protest this insanity. And as a matter of fact, we have one on the line right now. I'm going to bring on Jen from Folsom. Hey, Jen, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, you actually attended some of the hearings, and there were a lot of people there, right?
Yes, we've had an excellent turnout at the hearings. I've heard the sergeant in arms that was there said that he's in his career working there like 15 years. He's never seen that many people.
Yeah. So, and from your experience, they were from all walks of life. They were mostly parents, I would assume, but.
Yes, but we had people, we have teachers, we have doctors, I'm a nurse, we have nurses, we have engineers, we had farm workers, we had people from all walks of life, from all over the state. We had chartered buses that came from Southern California, people that couldn't afford, that took off work, that took a bus overnight to come to the hearings and then got back on the bus and went back. So they didn't even stay in a hotel or anything overnight because they can't afford that. And so we had a huge turnout. And if you have time, I wanted to say one of the actions that our group is doing now is to we're asking members of our group to talk to teachers at your school, because we have the California Teachers Association hasn't taken a position on the bill.
Oh, really?
One of the things that's happening in other states is that their vaccine mandate bills are mandating teachers to get the new adult schedule of vaccines. And that's going to be easier to do if, we no longer have exemptions for kids. There's another bill that's mandating vaccines for child care workers, SB 792. If that passes, it's going to be harder for teachers to fight later, you know what I mean? If next year there's a bill that will come if these bills pass, that will be mandating, the flu vaccine, the MMR, all the adult schedule. So we have, it's called yourfamilyyourchoice.org is a website, and on that website there's information and letters that you can give to teachers at your schools to see.
So you guys have stuff that you can just download?
To educate them about the issue and ask them to talk to their union about this. Because if we can get that union to come out in opposition to this bill, we could kill it, obviously, because the teachers union has a good relationship with your friend,
Jerry Moonbeam Brown. So, hey, Jen, thank you for calling in, and thank you for that information. Frank and Robert, we are close to being out of time here, but I think she made some good points. And obviously, please go ahead.
It's just to highlight how extreme this piece of legislation is. Not even communist China forces vaccines on school children. They have an opt-out provision. This is current World Health Organization data. Only 2 United States have such backwards laws, Mississippi and West Virginia. Not surprisingly, they're both in the bottom 5 for health, income, and education. And no Western democracy has these types of laws without any type of opt-out provision, not in Europe, not in Japan, not in Canada, not in Australia. Even the American Medical Association says physicians have an obligation to immunize unless they have a philosophic reason not to be immunized. Lori Hancock and Marty Block, 2 Democratic senators, both called the legislation draconian, which means excessively harsh and severe. So I just wanted to get that in.
No, I think people come with strong opinions, and I appreciate the facts there, Robert. And by the way, Robert's website is up on our at timdonnellyshow.com, but it's thevaccinemachine.com. And hey, can you guys hold over for one more break? Do you want to talk in the next segment?
No problem.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to.
All right, we'll continue this conversation after the break on the Tim Donnelly Show.
The High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you like shooting as much as I do, you've probably been to a lot of ranges. Unless you visited Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you've never seen anything like it. On the way there, you'll find yourself taking pictures as you traverse the majestic Azusa Canyon and wind your way up into the Angeles National Forest. With over 600 acres, including 19 private ranges, there's something for everyone. There's rifle and pistol ranges for beginners, right up to advanced shooters. And there's plenty of spaces to shoot sporting clay. You can make a family day of it, or you can bring a group for team building exercises. Bring a picnic lunch. On the weekends, they provide lunch. And don't worry, they always have ammo in case you forget yours or run out. One thing I can guarantee is that once you visited my friends at Burro Canyon Shooting Park, you'll be hooked, and you'll keep coming back. BurroCanyon.com is their website, or call them at 626-910-1344, 626-910-1344. Here we are on the home stretch on a beautiful, gorgeous Friday afternoon. That is if you love California. You may not like the weather right now, but we need the rain. We need the snow, and we need some common sense in the capital. And right now they just seem to be out of their minds. We're talking to Robert Schechter of The Vaccine Machine, that's his blog, and Frank Alonso of Campaign for Liberty. And we also have Jen from Folsom, who is on the phone, who is an activist fighting for the right to not be interfered or not have the government interfere between her and her child's health care. And Robert, you were saying before the break, you were talking about how not even China, which is a communist country, forces vaccinations on kids in school.
Exactly. It's very frightening when countries like that are realizing how important it is to allow parents to have choices about their children's health. But in California, it seems like they are so extreme. They're just pursuing these misguided policies.
Yeah, and I always look for what is in it for them. And there's a lot of money in the vaccination industry. There's a lot of money whenever the government mandates anything. You got a small number of people who get very wealthy, but you also have the left is obsessed. And by the way, I'm not going to say the Democrat Party because this is not a party thing. This is a control thing. And this is largely about controlling and trying to use the government to protect every last single individual from any possible danger, even if the danger isn't real. If it makes it in the headlines, then it's a good enough crisis to use to take away some of our freedom.
Yeah, I agree. One of the senators, Bill Monning, you may be familiar with, he was on 3 of the committees that passed the bill out of the committee, and he just recently had a bill that was killed that proposed warning labels on sodas. So, these people are very, very disposed to make rules that affects other people. They're kind of obsessed with the common good and just any type of involvement. If the government can get involved, then they should get involved.
Yeah.
People have rights, as opposed to the government.
Hey, Jen and Frank, I'm glad that you're both on air at the same time because, Frank, you're looking to help organize people and do a campaign of awareness, and Jen, you're involved with a group, and part of what this is just grassroots activism.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of the Tea Party, Tim. That kind of uprising is happening. And you were right earlier when you said this issue brings people across party lines. It brings people together. Okay, we have a president who's an expert on division, and he plays that division card to perfection.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but he stopped in the studio a little while ago.
Yeah, I did hear him.
I think he was out here helping Hillary raise money, and he seemed a little bit incoherent, but he's promised to come back another time when he's, maybe not been on the golf course as long. But on a serious note,
very good.
Jen, you and I met over this issue up in Sacramento, and you're not a Tea Party Republican. I mean, you're like...
No, I was a lifelong Democrat for the most part. I mean, I never just voted people based on their party, so I voted for people from different parties, but I identified as a Democrat, and watching, I got involved with AB 2109 and watching that process and how it went and who was, I saw that the Democrats were pushing for this and not listening to us at all. And so I left the party. And now, we have many more people are opposed to this bill. And it's like the same thing is happening to them. And I hope that it's not too little too late, because...
I'm afraid
the stakes are a lot higher now.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the final showdown on this issue, really. And you've already mentioned, because if they get one through, they're going to get all of them through. And I'm curious, because you've been lobbying in Sacramento, so you and a group have gone around. I know you haven't gone personally to every office, but you're in touch with people who've gone from office to office. Are all of the Republicans on board with you? Are you able to get some Democrats? How's it shaping up?
So I have not been down there as much, but I think that Republicans tend to side with us on this issue more so than Democrats, but looking at the committees, we've seen people from both parties oppose the bill and be in favor of the bill. So I think that the Disneyland measles media hype really pressures both Democrats and Republicans to feel like they need to do something, and they don't want to be portrayed as anti-vaccine at all, and or anti-public health, and so I think that they feel pressure from that side, but I think that they're also feeling pressure from our side as well, because we do have more people, and I believe that we are growing, and we are also protesting. We have a group that is demonstrating at the Democratic Convention next weekend, so we will have a presence.
Oh, where is that going to be?
Anaheim Convention Center.
I think that's in Anaheim.
Okay, we'll get some information, if we can get some information, from you off air on that, because what I'll do is I'll put that up on the website to bring people together. Because one thing that I've tried to do with this show is bring ordinary people into contact, get them engaged in the political process. Maybe every issue is not your issue. Maybe you're not as in love with freedom as I am when it comes to the Second Amendment, but this is your issue. I want you to be able to find people and do something that matters. And when you might not think protesting matters, but when people show up, the political consultants count them, and then they make decisions based on how many people oppose or stand for a particular issue. And this is one of those issues that doesn't really have a party. So thank you for that information, Jen. Frank, I know you would like to bring people together. Do you have a website or something that you're going to use to do that?
Right, Tim, and this is a liberty issue of the highest order, and Tim, you know liberty. I know you do. And we want to organize through Campaign for Liberty, a 700-member national political action organization. And I want to tell you in a nutshell what we do, and it's important. What we do is make politicians do what you want to do or what we want to do. Okay, in a nutshell. We could organize under campaignforliberty.org. Home base in Orange County. Robert and I are from Orange County. OCC4L Liberty on the Facebook page. OCC4, the number 4, Liberty Facebook page.
Yeah, you can just go to timdonnellyshow.com, click on the link where you see the conversation on SB 277. I put your websites in there and I believe your Facebook page. You can also go to my Facebook page and find these same links. But this is exciting to see. So now we've got movement in Orange County. We've got movement up north, right near Sacramento, and in and around the capital. And Jen, do you have any idea how many people are planning to come out to that protest? Is there any indication on the website?
The last time I checked, there's like a Facebook event. And I think there were like 130 people signed up to go or something like that. So hopefully each of those people will be bringing, other people.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Well, that's a good. That's a good starting.
There are people that are organizing. What?
That's a good starting number.
Absolutely. We're involved with that too, Tim, and we have some surprises in store for that event on next Saturday.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a lively protest, and we here at the Tim Donnelly Show support freedom. I want to thank all of you for coming on. We've hit a break, and I'm going to have to let you go. But thank you for coming on and talking about this important threat to our freedom and for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much.
God bless and Godspeed. Hey, if you want to weigh in on anything we've talked about today, we'll take your calls after the break at 323-746-8255. TimDonnellyShow.com is another way you can connect with us. Stay tuned.
Right choice for Talk 960.
Don't you think it's about time you treat yourself or someone you love to something very special? Well, Ozell Jewelers, the finest jewelry store in the high desert, is known throughout the high desert for having the largest variety of fine-looking jewelry and gifts for every special occasion. Ozell custom designs and manufactures their own jewelry, so you'll be able to find exclusive, one-of-a-kind, stunning styles you won't find anywhere else in Southern California. If you're looking for fine jewelry at unbeatable prices, Ozell Jewelers is the place to go. Show appreciation to that special person in your life with something special to cherish forever. Ozell Jewelers, voted best jewelers in the high desert by the Daily Press regularly for years. Ozell Jewelers has been putting smiles on high desert faces for over 30 years. Ozell Jewelers in Rancho Cucamonga, Palm Desert, and Amargosa Road by Red Lobster in Victorville. Ozell Jewelers.
Well, we are going quietly into that good night. We are at the final segment of the final show this week. 323-746-TALK. That's 323-746-8255 if you want to get in on the conversation. And it looks like we've got Jerry. Jerry, welcome to the Tim Donnelly Show.
Well, you've had some fantastic topics this week, and we sure appreciate you as one of our great leaders of patriotism and freedom.
Well, thank you for listening.
And nice seeing you at the Friends of the NRA the other day. Anyway, I wanted to say that this week I understand, and I might go to that rally on the next weekend if I get a chance. I
think that's going to be a lively event, Jerry.
Well, remember, it's being held by the Democrats, so there may be some flex down there. We don't know for sure yet. But anyway, the thing is that, but we'll still go because we don't give up a fight. They're calling back, they're buying back guns, my understanding. They're buying back guns back from the citizenry. I think it's in L.A. I'm not sure for sure, but I think it's in L.A. again. Well, when they do that, they, as you well know, they broke their oath to the state and federal constitution and the right to keep their arms. In fact, I think you and I are probably paying our taxes for cell phones. Well, you know what? They can give every citizen in the state of California a handgun or a rifle. We know the gangs have them. They always have them.
So are you, Jerry, are you proposing something like what they do in Switzerland, where every male under the age of 45 is required, or from 18 to 45 is required to be armed?
That could be one of them. You betcha.
You know, it's interesting you would say that. Hold on a second, because there's a story that I just got this morning, and I'm going to have a guy on next week. He's an NRA instructor. He runs a range. He also has run a number of CMP programs. But there's a proposal, now that there's Republicans in Congress, there's a proposal to bring back a number of the 1911 service revolvers. They're not revolvers, the handguns, and allow citizens to buy them through the CMP program, that civilian marksmanship program, where if you go to a range and you participate, and you have to get it signed off by the range master that you went out and you learned gun safety and you competed and developed your marksmanship. You could actually buy a gun for very little money from a program. It used to be a part of the U.S. government. Now it is a nonprofit that is run. It's sort of a quasi.
Yeah, your son was free now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
are you there?
Yeah. So at any
bank, that's the reason I said that. Go ahead.
What are you standing in line?
Go ahead.
You're standing in line at the bank talking on the air.
There are patriots here. Don't worry about it. There are patriots all
Well, tell everybody that Tim Donnelly said hello.
Okay, now I got to say this real quick, like we're running out of time. I'll look at the clock here. Under the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Second Amendment, you are to pass no laws. You're not even supposed to register your guns, period. They have broke their oath, whoever there is, that passed laws, and a cop down there or the chief of police down there, wherever it may be, or a sheriff, has broke his oath. You are to pass no laws. You're not even supposed to register your weapons, period. And if you go to the 1902, Tech Act of 1902, that'll back all that up. So,
well,
folks,
Jerry, you're a man after my own heart. You are a patriot. I want you to say hello to everybody for me in the bank and make sure that they listen to the Tim Donnelly Show. And we are out of time here, but we love it when you call in. So thanks for calling, and have a great weekend.
Well, God bless to you and this great nation.
God,
and I will say that to him, and I only have a second to do that.
God bless you, and Godspeed, Jerry. And we are right up against the clock. It is that time when I have to say thank you to my wife, Rowena, who lets me do this, Bethany Nosko, the Noskinator, who is my extraordinary producer, Cassie Cassidy, the intrepid guest booker, and John and Sean, who do things with technology that shouldn't even be possible. But none of this would happen without you, the listener. So I want to thank you for listening to the Tim Donnelly Show this week. And you know what? Tune in Monday at 3 o'clock from 3 to 6 every weekday. We are on the Radio Free California Network, broadcasting live and streaming at timdonnellyshow.com. Have a great weekend. God bless you, and Godspeed.
High Desert's right choice for talk. Talk 960.
Hey, if you like what you've been hearing on the Tim Donnelly Show, then support it.
If you own a business, we have a tremendous audience, not only on air, but also online. And we've got a great social media presence. And you can participate in all of that by simply picking up the phone and calling 760-244-4444. That's the office line to Bethany, who can schedule you to come in and record your own commercial, or you can send us a script and I'll read it. Whatever you do, you got to act now, because your future customers are my loyal listeners.